Thank you for joining us again and welcome back to our channel. If you are joining for the first time, I appreciate your time. In this episode, I want to touch on a very important strategic refusal that France continued to say. They have not been kicked out from West Africa, that they have done this withdrawal as a result of their goodwill. It's as a result of collaboration, the partnership, that they had this in the making, that it was part of their strategy to withdraw. I think we all know that's not true, because it's going to be very damaging in regards to France's global engagement. Being kicked out from a region that was once considered its backyard is a fundamental blunder in terms of geopolitical history. More importantly, Ivory Coast of all, that I consider Ivory Coast to be a backyard of France, came out strong and said, we are tired of this partnership and we want France's troops to leave. The spin doctors are at work. They are trying to design or communicate this withdrawal as a result of our own independent decision. That's not true. We knew what happened in Guinea before France left. We knew what happened in Mali, in Burkina Faso of all. More importantly, the debacle in Niger that struck the last cane in regards to France's colonial engagement in that particular region of the continent of Africa. Ivory Coast came out clear and said they mean business, that France should leave, and they are ready to occupy this particular military base the next day and rewrite history and change everything as soon as possible. There is more into this than what we see in the global media. It is important to know that the recent withdrawal regards to Ivory Coast has been communicated as a result of France's goodwill. This is what France officials are saying. However, the Ivorian military and the officials see it differently. This particular communication by France has been disputed by the country of Chad, by the country of Senegal. The Prime Minister of Senegal, Ousmane Sonko, came out clear and said, it's as a result of our sovereign decision to ask France to leave. So this narrative of that, the withdrawal is being characterized as a result of France's goodwill. It's not sitting well in regards to France's geopolitical partners. Let's roll the clip.
France is set to end its decades-long military presence in Cote d'Ivoire. The French army will hand over its only military base in the country to the Ivorian forces in a few days. The 43rd Marine Infantry Battalion camp is stationed in a suburb of Abidjan. Both sides say the handover has proceeded smoothly and seamlessly.
We are in a symbolic sequence of return of the Port Boué camp to the Ivorian army in a concerted process which has been in the works for a long time. We have been working on this project bilaterally for months. This is a very virtuous process between our two armies, between our two countries, and therefore it is not in pain or crisis that we are doing this transfer. This is a necessary development desired by our presidents.
The Ivorian army says the camp is also being revamped. In his end-of-year address to the nation in December, President Alassane Ouattara urged Ivorians to take pride in the modernized state of their armed forces.
We need to transform the visual identity of the barracks. Here on this wall at the command post was marked French forces in Cote d'Ivoire. These writings were simply removed and in the future will bear Command Post General Corps Camp Ouattara Thomas Dakar.
Hundreds of Ivorian paratroopers who moved into the camp have been carrying out regular military exercises.
We carry out daily combat training, instruction and also cohesion activities, sometimes with our partners in the French army. The cohabitation is going well and we are getting to exchange experiences.
We are just here with two other monitors to advise them, support them, and I bring my regulatory part in order to guide them.
Cote d'Ivoire and France had signed a defense agreement in 1961 to ensure the protection of the West African nation from external aggression. About 1,000 French soldiers were deployed at the military base that has now been handed over to the Ivorians. France has already pulled its soldiers out of Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad and Senegal. Joy Kirukijuma, CGTN.
It is important to know that Africa, especially in the Sahel, have a lot going on at the moment. The Sahel region has sent a clear signal to France. It is important to note that despite the recent comment, the damaging comment made by France's president in talking to the ambassadors, this message did not sit well across the region. However, keep that message aside. The decision for these countries to ask France to leave is based on their sovereign decision. We have to keep that clear. The communications coming from France's official that is as a result of our own decision to communicate this particular withdrawal as a goodwill or as a strategy in the West African region. It's not sitting well across the region. We can hear that from Ivorian officials, we can hear that from Chadian officials, from Nigerian officials. The debacle in Niger exposes France's weakness in a number of areas, and it helped strengthen the formation of the alliance of the Sahelian states. That's why these countries, Ivory Coast at the moment, has made it clear that the relationship with France does not represent the current geopolitical shift.
Allies Emmanuel Macron's come under fire and been accused of neocolonialism, paternalism, and showing contempt for West African sovereignty after complaining to a group of French ambassadors that Africa forgot to say thank you to Paris for France's anti-terror military deployments in the Sahel over the years. Now, Caitlin Kelly tells us.
The Chadian government have come out and say that Macron is showing a contemptuous attitude towards Africa and Africans. And in Senegal, Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko has said the comments are not true and that this is a mischaracterization of France's military role in the region. In France itself, La France Insoumise, the political party of Jean-Luc Mélenchon, have also come out and said that Macron has exhibited a neo-colonial paternalism, a sentiment that's also being echoed here in Senegal on social media.
A new wind is blowing in Africa. It's a wind of democracy, a wind of sovereignty. It's no longer a wind of neo-colonialism. It's time to call an end to this game. That's what Emmanuel Macron needs to understand today, the condescending France, the combative France, the ever-present France. In reality, that version of France needs to rethink its approach, because as it stands, it's a watered-down version of itself.
Senegal's Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko also denied Macron's claims that there'd been some sort of negotiations when it came to the military withdrawal of French troops in the region. Both Chad and Senegal have tried to redefine and move away from the French military support here in West Africa. Chad have severed ties completely with the French defence, and in Senegal they've made claims that they will close the military bases here in the country as they try to reshape the relationship with the previous colonial power.
Countries are changing. The difficulties around the world does not represent what West Africa hoped. The partnership with France has come to the point where these countries have matured to an extent and they really want to take absolute control of their own community. They want to reassure their own people that it is about time we take care of our security. And the notion here that France is playing goodwill, we know that there's no goodwill with regards to this particular withdrawal. It's been forced onto France. France has acknowledged that it's not about forcing themselves to stay in this region. It is about seeing that they are losing complete influence. And that's fine enough for France to accept that. It should accept defeat to an extent with regards to its resistance in Niger. By France's troops withdrawing in a gradual way, accepting that it is about time for these countries to take absolute control of their own region, it will make sense. It will sit well with other geopolitical partners. But by communicating clearly that we are doing this just as a result of our colonial arrangement, or we've decided to do this as a result of the bilateral negotiation, then major officials like prime ministers of these same countries coming out and speaking against that particular communication from the country of France, it is very damaging in terms of the public relations, looking at how France communicates in those particular regions. Now, if you look at the whole region at the moment, with ECOWAS completely following France with regards to the decision that took place as Nigeria attempted to go into the country of Niger. That was a fundamental suggestion by Nigeria or ECOWAS at that particular time. However, it is important to know that The formation of the alliance of the Sahelian state was a fundamental geopolitical shift in the continent of Africa, and that will go down to history. That it was the moment when these countries figure out a strategy to push out a colonizer. According to one of the United States of America's long-standing foreign policy expert, he said, if these particular activities happened in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Guinea, as what we are seeing happening in Chad, if this happened 20 years ago, France would have crushed it. However, this tells you times have changed. The United States of America understands this, France understands this, Chinese understand this, the Russians understand it, and a number of geopolitical partners understand. Africa is moving forward to an extent where it really wants to deal with partners that bring win-win collaboration. These are essential things at the moment. Like a Richard president said, these are times for collaboration, for complementarity, arrangement, working together, showing collaboration in several areas. That is not a moment for hegemonic approach. That's the reason why France should come out clear and accept that the withdrawal from West Africa, its former colonial countries, was as a result of being forced out of these countries, not as a result of their own independent decision to leave these countries. That's why it will go down in history that this was the greatest period in Africa's history, and when African governments and the ones that were in strong partnership with France, looking at France Afrique, came out to a point where they had it right up here and they said it's not going to be business as usual. I think it's a good thing for France to make this strategic choice to leave this region, because again, it might give them an opportunity in the future to rethink on how to collaborate in a clear and vivid way with clarity. I want to thank you for watching. I will be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.